cut the last breath from them.
Chat spam hello YouTube. This is going on YouTube. Hello YouTube. I don't know if you guys know, but it's 9.4. They're trying to buff / adjust Zed, so we're gonna talk about it. There's a thread on Twitter right now going on with it. A lot of dumb shit going on with like stats and shit. People affirming that Zed has a 52% win rate and stuff like that, which is all bullshit. Now, we don't really care. We're not gonna debate low elo. Low elo needs to stop thinking about win rate. Just goddamn learn the game. You have so much to learn. If you just learn to farm perfectly, you'd climb out of fucking silver instead of complaining about Zed. Now we're only gonna talk about high elo, or somewhat high elo, because Plat Plus is not really high elo. But this is the real state of Zed right now. Right now his win rate is 49%. I don't know why people are like 52% win rate. It's not. His state in the game is he's one of the worst early game champion, and this is why an assassin melee champion that is supposed to be mid game champion that builds lethality items that are mid game items has a terrible win rate the more the game goes on onto the mid game. His win rate starts rising past 25 to 30 minutes is when you build your last whisper and you have 2 lethality items, and then you become actually OP. Funny fact is, lethality items are bad mid-game, right? I mean bad late-game. They're mid-game items. They have very little AD, but yet his win rate rises above late-game when his items falls off. What does that mean? That means that Zed is a really bad champion early to mid-game, and then at the end of the mid-game and late-game, he becomes OP. Especially late-game, okay? This is the real state of Zed. Now, if you want to debate it on the comment and everything, go ahead. But this is my opinion. I played a lot of games, and by that, I mean shut your ass up. So, with that being said, if you're trying to buff Zed, you need to shift his power from late game to early game, okay? This is very simple. So, Riot Captain hit me up on Discord, and he was like, yo, we're gonna buff Zed, blah, blah, blah. What are your income and output on that? And what, especially, like, break down the game, how do you feel and shit, and what about the ZR? He's like, how about the bonus of R, and how can we balance? So I talked to him, and this line right here that says, understanding right now that it is almost always wrong for Zed to prioritize R on an otherwise suboptimal target just from passive AD, and it looks like a trap mechanic, that came from me. I'm the one that told him that. Like, listen, the only way you can make the ZR buff AD playable without switching it back to W would be by making it like Rengar, where for each champion kill, unique champion kill, you would get % more. That's what I told him. I'm like, if you really want to insist on that, I'm like, it's terrible. That shit is just annoying to play around, and when there's a lot of APs and Ezreal AD carry, you don't get any AD, so that shit is bad. He's like, okay, how much do we have to buff it? I'm like, you can't either put it back in W, either give us a Rengar type of AD passive. So, hit me up again, and he's like, alright, well, I guess we're just gonna have to remove it then. And if it's a trap mechanic for Zed, we're just gonna have to remove it. And in compensation, we're gonna give you, what do you want? Do you think it's better to remove the R and give you no R snapback delay, which means no 0.5 second delay anymore on your R, or early game buff damage, cooldown buff early game, and attack speed growth? I told him the second one. Why? Now, people are gonna be like, stylish, why? A lot of people are in love with the back in the days no snapback on the R. Truth is, that mechanic is OP, I'm sorry dude, but when you are a Zed, it's not like LeBlanc W. You disappear from the game, you are not targetable. And when you come out, you can just R back again without getting hit. Which means you don't even need to have a brain. You just need to have items, you WWRR, and then just E and Q and he dies. So we're putting counterplay on the champion so it feels more fair and not unskilled. Because these goddamn low elo players always complain about Zed. So I know very well that if he becomes that slippery, low elo is gonna get frustrated even more. And the worst part is we have Edge of the Night right now. And when you buy Edge of the Night, it allows you to be able to wait for the 0.5 second before you snap back, okay? There goes my logic. Second logic on that is if you remove the RAD and give him a snap back, you realize that his early game, mid game is gonna be as bad as it is. Nothing is gonna happen. Your damage is still gonna be too low, and yes, you can R back faster, but your damage is gonna be trash. And you're not even gonna scale that good into the late game as good because you don't have the R bonus AD anymore, right? The only thing you have is that R snapback. Is it gonna save Zed? Definitely not. Especially now when you have Edge of an Eye, you're not even gonna realize the difference. So I went with the early game damage, plus the CD buff in the early game, plus attack speed, because the biggest problem of Zed is his early game. He loses lane to everyone that is a melee champion that is not Kassadin, or to any mages that is able to just build armor boots sicker and not suffer from damage. Even TF doesn't lose to Zed if you go Grasp of the Undying, armor boots rush. You don't lose with TF, which is stupid. So the point was always to give him the early game buff. Now what did they do? So they followed a little bit my advice and they went for attack speed growth. This is really good. In the past, we moved the attack speed from Zed because Youmuu's was OP and it would give you 40% attack speed and it was taking towers too fast. But then they removed that from Youmuu's and never gave us an attack speed buff, so this is good. Now, this is the most interesting thing right here, and I'm gonna leave it last actually. Recast range. This is the weirdest thing. They're trying to make your W range recast literally as big as how far you can like be to use your abilities. I don't know what's gonna happen with this. I feel like it's gonna open so much juking and potential, which is definitely gonna allow you to do more different stuff in a scenario of 1v1 or team fights. So that's actually huge. Most of you guys, when you use your shadows, just press it again. When I use my shadow, I let it there. I let my shadow there, then I E, I Q, you know? That's how you play Zed, you know? Just double tap W every time. Sometimes you wanna let it there, okay? So this is very, very interesting. It's gonna make stuff very spicy. The CDW buff, not quite 18, but 20 second, 5 sec. It stays there for 5 seconds. By the end of it, 15-second cooldown. It's already in a good direction, so we got an early game buff out of that. And then we got the R passive removed. Now let me be clear. This whole change is problematic because of the Q. Why? The Q early game is straight up buffed. This is amazing. Level 1, you do about 11 to 12 more damage on your Q, which is a lot. Especially if you run Scorch, you get another... You would be able to do 20 more damage per Q in level 1 if you're trying to go Scorch. In level 2, in level 1, in level 3, when you get your W, that number doubles. So instead of getting 11, 12 more, you get 22 to 24 more at level 2 Q. Now, when you have 2 Qs, level 4 and 5, to me, level 4 and 5, Zed, WEQ combo is not bad. The damage is fine. The Q scale is fine. It's still gonna do more damage level 4, and it's still gonna do more damage level 5, because it's the same base damage, but more AD scaling. So that's fine at all. It's a straight up buff plus the CD. Your early game is a straight up buff. Now, when does it become itchy? By level 9, you lose 10 base damage and you gain 10% bonus AD. What does that mean? You need 100 bonus AD to regain the 10 base damage you lost in this, right? But the problem is that you also lose the R bonus damage, which by level 9, you have a 9 bonus AD usually. If you kill someone with R, you have like a 9. So the damage is equalish. But by the time you hit 11 to level 14, when you're supposed to have a 20, 25 bonus AD, then you start doing a lot less damage. Now, why? Because once you lose that 25 bonus AD, you use 25 damage from your auto, about 20 from your E, about 25 from your death mark, and because of the base damage nerf on the Q, you're gonna lose about 30 on the double Q as well, and all that is cumulated into the death mark percent. So his early game is weak, but his mid game is also weak, and this is happening in mid game when he's really weak before Last Whisper. So, in my opinion, if you just do not nerf the Q-based damage and you let everything like this, that is gonna be fine. So, if they just add 10 bonus AD like it was, I mean not bonus AD, 10 base damage, what's gonna happen? Is your Q is gonna do about 2 to 3 damage less at those level 11, 14, which is, we don't care. 3 to 4 is nothing. And you're gonna lose your 25 damage on auto, 20 damage on E, and 25 on R. Which is fair, because it don't really matter, because you're gonna scale once you get your Last Whisper. And then late game, you losing these damages from 50 AD is fine, because the champion is OP, right? Your champion is literally busted late game. As long as he has its items, Zed is better than most champions late game. So removing a little bit of his damage and burst power out of having a bonus 50 AD is not bad at all, if it's compensated by attack speed, and especially that's gonna allow you juking power, because you won't need, if you manage to win your early game instead of losing it like every lane, and get to your items faster like you're supposed to, then it won't matter that you lost damage, because your damage is already broken. So your damage is gonna become like good, not even bad. It's not gonna be broken, it's gonna be good, which is right. And then you got this insane buff right here on the W, which will allow you to juke so much more. Alright? Because there's a lot of potential going on in here. So what happens? Your late game weakens a little bit on your damage, but it's fine because the champion is OP and doesn't need damage late game. It's fine. You can lose a little bit of damage. But your early game becomes better. A lot better. And you can goddamn lane finally.
Break out the red panties.
So yeah, the biggest problem was early game. It is fixed here. Now the problem is that it's gonna lose too much power mid game and too much power late game with this. So if they just put 220 bonus AD, the thing is, parentheses or things around, fuck, I don't know the word. Anyways, one of the problems that occurs if you do give him 220 AD is that by level 9 to 11, before you get like that 20-25 bonus AD on R, you're actually gonna do more damage in those level 9 and 7, which is not what you're trying to do because his damage is already gonna be great. But then again, if the person builds armor, it's actually fine. It won't be a problem. But if the person goes Veigar, doesn't build armor, and you have the 220 AD plus 100% AD, then you're gonna murder them. But I still think it's worth because he's gonna lose way too much mid game and late game power if you do not do that. Because then if you just give him back that, his Q will do about the same damage. He only loses damage on E and Oro, and a little bit on R, which doesn't matter that much. And then loses more. The more the game goes on, the more you lose damage because the more your bonus AD is gonna be big. But your Q is gonna remain fine because you get more bonus AD, and it's 100%. The 10% bonus AD will make it balance towards your Q not getting actually nerfed by too much, like by 5 to 10 damage per Q late game, which is absolutely nothing. So basically, just nerfing the E, the Oro, the R, the base damage of the champ is worth as long as we get that attack speed, that more mobility, and that early game, especially the early game buff. So this is my thoughts on those buffs and nerfs. Now, whoever on Reddit is saying, there's a lot of people on Reddit. You guys can go check it out yourself in the guide and in the thread. A lot of people are talking about 52% win rate. Zed doesn't need the buff. You guys are delusional. Maybe it is true in low elo, but the main reason he has good win rate in low elo is because, let's face it, I'm gonna say this. Don't let your ego hurt you or anything, but this is the truth. Because in high elo, he's terrible. You guys let your AD carry split push alone in the side lane, which means any assassin can get fed easily. Well, in high elo, the AD carry is never alone. You send your mid lane to side. You guys don't build armor, or mages in low elo struggle. When you guys build sicker and armor and no mana regen, you guys are terrible. Thank you. You guys are terrible at mana managing. Let's pretend you're playing Ahri against Zed. What frustrates low elo players the most is because they had to rush Sicker, they feel like they get so easily. But it's true, they do, because they keep spamming their abilities like monkeys instead of playing the trade lane when they have armor. And then they feel like it's frustrating because their they can no longer push and they can no longer trade and they have to back. But that comes out of badness of managing mana. I recommend you to watch any good mid laner facing Zed with Sicker, like Faker, Jerkson, anybody will teach you how to manage your mana properly without rushing a mana item first. So your problem comes from you not playing properly the game, you not playing your champion properly, and you not playing the punishing and the counterplay properly because the champion has a lot of counterplay. Other than that, the champion is terrible, honestly. So hope you take it as a grain of salt. I'm just saying that it's my opinion.
Welcome to the...
Doesn't mean it's true, but it's true. Shut your ass up. It's true. But it doesn't mean it's God telling you that, okay? It's just my opinion. But it's true. But TLDR, the changing from shifting his power to from late game to early game is good. They just did it too hard because of the Q base damage, so they just need to give him his 10 base damage back, and he should be. I'm not saying he's gonna be good. I'm still not sure because the problem that will remain is that sure you do a little more damage, but you do more damage level 1, 2, 3, 4, but your level 5 damage is barely more. And your level 7 and 9 becomes about the same. So what worries me is that you still will struggle against the armor rush people, because the main problem, one of the main problems of Zed as well is, you know, by the time you're level 7, your E is still level 1, right, chat? Two of the main problems are his W is too long CD, it got buffed a little bit, and his E as well. So by level 7, your shit does about 90 damage, 100 damage. Like if you have 150 AD or something, your E does less damage than your auto attack with a 5-second CD. This is never heard before. You have one ability, it's Q, you have your second ability that does less damage than your auto attack. I repeat, less damage than auto attack on the caster champion, while having 5 whole second cooldown, which is insane. So there is a chance that that buff is not enough. And I'm saying buff as long as they do give him back the 10 damage on Q. Because if they don't, it's a straight up nerf. It's a buff early game, but it's a huge nerf mid game and late game, and he's not gonna do good. He's probably gonna become even worse than he is unless you're able to snowball in your lane. Somehow, that I don't think is gonna be possible. So there's still gonna be problems in the rise against armor boots, sicker people that rush, I think. But it's still gonna be in a way better direction IMO. And then you can more shift the power easily.
Welcome to
So
the hood.
that's my TLDR on it. It still needs a little tweaking, and then it'll be fine. Peace. Winner of the comment of the day.